After spending years supporting my best friend in every struggle, I called her crying one night, but she said she didn't have time for my problems, and that was the moment I understood our friendship was one-sided. Her name was Sarah. My best friend since college, the person who held my hair back when I was sick, who drove 4 hours to help me move apartments, who sat with me in hospital waiting rooms when my dad had his heart. For 12 years she was my person, my emergency contact, my +1 to everything, and I hid all away because I thought I was too good for her problems. It started small like these things always do. Sarah had been going through a rough patch. Her boyfriend of 3 years had dumped her out of nowhere. Her mom was diagnosed with early-stage dementia, and she'd been passed over for promotion she'd worked toward for 2 years. Every conversation became about her struggles. Every hangout turned into a therapy session. I told I was being patient. I told I was being a good friend. But deep down I was getting annoyed. See, my was finally clicking into place. I'd landed my dream job at a marketing firm, started dating this incredible guy named Marcus, and was planning a move to a gorgeous apartment downtown. I was glowing, thriving, posting aesthetic coffee shop photos and vacation pics. And there was Sarah, constantly bringing the mood down with her negativity. That's what I called it, negativity, like her pain was some kind of character flaw. The worst part, I started avoiding her calls. When she'd text asking to grab coffee, I'd suddenly be swamped with work. When she'd invite me to movies, I'd already have plans with Marcus. I was pulling away slowly, hoping she wouldn't notice. But Sarah wasn't. She knew something was off. The night everything imploded started like any other Thursday. I was at Marcus's place, scrolling through Instagram, feeling pretty good about a campaign I just launched. We were planning a weekend getaway, and I was researching restaurants when my phone rang. Sarah's name lit the screen and I almost declined. Almost, but something in my gut told me to answer. Hey, what's, I said, not bothering to hide the distraction in my voice. Emma. Her voice was shaking. I really need to talk to someone. Can come over? Or can I come there? Something happened today and She was crying, full on sobbing. In 12 years of friendship, I'd maybe heard Sarah cry 3 times. She was the strong one, the one who held everyone else together. But instead of dropping everything like she would have done for me, instead of rushing to her side like any decent human being would do, I looked at Marcus making dinner in the kitchen and felt annoyed. Sarah, I'm really sorry, but tonight's not great. Marcus and I have this whole evening planned, and I've been looking forward to it all week. Can we talk tomorrow? Or maybe this weekend? The silence stretched so long I thought the call had dropped. Emma. Her voice was different now. Flat. My mom tried to herself today. She's in the psychiatric ward. I found her in the bathroom with, I can't even say it. I've been at the hospital for 6 hours dealing with doctors and social workers and I needed my best friend. My stomach dropped. The room started spinning. Sarah. Oh my God. But don't have time for my problems. The way she said it, so quiet, so defeated. Like she was finally understanding something she'd been trying not to see. Sarah, that's not what I meant. Of course I have time. Let me just, no. The word was sharp. Final. Don't. Sarah, please. I've been making excuses for months. Telling just busy, just stressed with work, just caught in new relationship. But know what? I called Jake before I called. Jake, who I haven't talked to in 2 years. And he dropped everything. He's driving here from Portland right now. Jake. Her college ex-boyfriend who she'd stayed friends with. Someone who barely knew current Sarah, but who cared enough to drive 3 hours in the middle of the night. I should have been first on that list, Emma. After everything we've been through, after 12 years of friend, I should have been the first person wanted to help. But I wasn't even someone could spare 2 hours for. My throat felt like it was closing. Sarah, I'm coming over right now. I'm getting in my car. Don't dare. Her voice cracked. Don't dare show now because feel guilty. I need it tonight. I needed months ago when everything started falling apart. I needed my best friend to care about me even when I wasn't Instagram perfect. Marcus had stopped cooking. He was looking at me with concern, but I couldn't focus on anything except Sarah's voice. Sarah, who sounded like she was breaking apart. Want to know the really pathetic part? She continued. I kept defending. When my sister said seemed distant, when my coworkers asked why never came around anymore, when Jake said he thought changed, I kept saying no, Emma's just going through a good phase. She deserves to be happy. She's still the same person. I am the same person. No or not. The Emma I knew'd have been in her car before I finished explaining. The Emma I knew would have brought ice cream and terrible movies and stayed all night if I needed her to. The Emma I knew wouldn't have made me feel like a burden for having problems. I was crying now too. Sarah, please, let me fix this. Let me come over. Let me help. It's too late for that. Her voice was getting steadier, like she was making peace with something. I can't keep being friends with someone who only wants me around when I'm convenient. I can't keep loving someone who sees my pain as negativity. That's not. It is though. Isn't it? Be honest. When's the last time asked how I was doing without me having to bring it first? When's the last time initiated plans that weren't just showing off new? When's the last time acted like actually cared about what was happening with me? I opened my mouth, but no words came, because she was right, completely devastatingly right. I thought so, she said quietly. 12 years, Emma. 12 years of me being there for every crisis, every celebration, every random Tuesday when needed someone to talk to, and when I finally needed to show for me. We're too busy planning perfect evening. I'm sorry. It came out as a whisper. I'm so sorry. I know but sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't change the fact that when I was facing the worst night of my best friend couldn't be bothered. The line went quiet except for our breathing. I hope dinner was everything wanted it to be, she said finally. I hope it was worth it. And then she hung. I stared at my phone for a full minute waiting for it to ring again. Waiting for another chance to fix this, but it didn't ring. It just sat there black and silent, like a mirror reflecting back exactly who I'd become. Marcus came over and put his arm around me. What was that about? I couldn't even begin to explain. How to tell someone that just lost best friend because turned into the kind of person who prioritizes dinner plans over emergencies. How to admit that becomes comfortable with his love that forgotten it wasn't guaranteed. I tried calling back. Straight to voicemail. I sent texts. No response. I drove to her apartment. Her car wasn't there. That's when it hit me. She was probably still at the hospital, with her mom, dealing with the worst crisis of her, and instead of having her best friend by her side, she was alone except for an ex-boyfriend who cared more about her well-being than I did. I sat in my car outside her empty apartment building and finally understood what I'd done. I hadn't just missed one phone call. I'd spent months systematically dismantling a friendship because my friend's reel didn't match my aesthetic. And now she was gone. The worst part wasn't even losing Sarah, though that felt like losing a limb. The worst part was realizing who I'd become. Someone who could abandon their closest friend during their darkest hour because it was inconvenient. Someone who saw loyalty as conditional and love as earned only when was easy. I drove home that night knowing I'd crossed a line I couldn't uncross. I'd shown Sarah exactly who was when it mattered most, and she'd finally stopped making excuses for me. I wanted to believe I could fix it, that a few apologies and grand gestures could undo months of neglect. But deep down I knew the truth. Some betrayals are so fundamental, so revealing of character that they can't be forgiven. And some friendships once broken by selfishness can never be repaired. The next morning I woke hoping it had all been a nightmare. But my phone showed 17 unread messages in our friend group chat, and none of them were from Sarah. Jake had updated everyone. Sarah's mom was stable but would need long-term care. Sarah was taking family leave to handle everything. She'd asked him to let everyone know she'd be unreachable for a while. Everyone except me already knew. I scrolled through message of love and support being sent to Sarah. Offers to bring food, help with errands, cover shifts at work. Our entire friend group mobilizing around someone who was suffering. And I realized I wasn't part of that group anymore. See, Sarah wasn't just my best friend. She was the center of our social circle. The one who remembered birthdays, planned gatherings, kept everyone connected. She was the thread that held us all together, and I just loose from her. The first sign came that afternoon. Melissa, who'd been in our friend group since sophomore year, posted a photo from coffee with two other friends. They were clearly discussing something serious, tissues scattered across the table. The caption read, "Sometimes need people more than ever. So grateful for friends who show." I wasn't in the photo. I wasn't even tagged. I texted Melissa, "Hey, are okay, saw post." Her response came hours later, "Just supporting a friend through a tough time. Know how it is," except I didn't know, because I'd forgotten how to show. Marcus tried to be supportive. He made dinner, suggested we watch a movie, told me I was overacting. "Friendships go through rough patches," he said. "She'll cool off and guys will work it out." But I could see something in his eyes. A new wariness. Like he was wondering what kind of person could abandon their best friend during a crisis. "Been friends for over a decade," he said carefully. "This must have been building for a while." I wanted to defend. To explain that I'd been busy, that Sarah had been negative lately, that I couldn't be expected to fix everyone's problems. But every excuse sounded hollow when I said it out loud. The truth was, Marcus had never met the version of me that Sarah knew. He'd only known successful, put together Emma. The Emma who had her figured out. He'd never seen me vulnerable or struggling because by the time we met, I'd moved past all that. But Sarah had. Sarah had seen me at my absolute worst. She'd held my hair while after finding out my college boyfriend was cheating. She'd driven to my parents' house at midnight when I had a panic about graduation. She'd helped me move 3 times, including once on Christmas Eve because my landlord was awful. And when it was her turn to fall apart, I couldn't spare. Social media posts started the next day. Group photos from dinners I wasn't invited to. Inside jokes I didn't understand. Our friend group was still functioning perfectly fine without me. No, not without me. They were functioning better, more authentic, less performative. I realized I'd become the friend who only showed for the good times. The fair weather friend who disappeared when things got messy. The kind of person I would have made fun of in college. My work started suffering. I couldn't focus on campaigns about friendship bracelets or loyalty programs without thinking about Sarah. Every coffee shop we'd been to together, every restaurant where we'd celebrated, every corner of the city held memories of our friendship. I tried reaching out to other friends individually, hoping someone would give me information about Sarah, or help me figure out how to fix this. But their responses were polite and distant. Like they were being careful not to take sides, but the side they weren't taking was obvious. "I think should give her space," Amy said when I finally got her on the phone. "She's going through a lot right now." "I know she is. That's why I want to help." "Emma." Amy's voice was gentle but firm. "Where were when she needed help?" The question hung in the air like an accusation, because everyone knew the answer. I'd been posting Instagram stories about date nights and work achievements while Sarah was drowning. 2 weeks after the phone call, I ran into Jake at a grocery store. My heart jumped, thinking finally, here was someone who might talk to me about Sarah. "Jake, how is?" I couldn't finish the question. He looked at me with something I'd never seen directed at me before, disappointment. Not anger, which would have been easier to handle. Just profound disappointment. "She's okay," he said quietly. "Getting her mom into a good facility. Taking care of everything. That's good. That's really good. I've been wanting to reach out, but I didn't want to bother her while she's dealing with so much." Jake studied my face. "No, she talks about sometimes." My heart leaped. "Really? What does she say?" "She wonders if we're ever really her friend, or if she just imagined 12 years of caring about each other." The words hit me like a physical. I actually stepped backward. "She keeps going over memories, trying to figure out when started seeing her as a burden. She's wondering if all those times helped her before we're just going through the motions." "That's not true. I loved her. I love her." His voice wasn't cruel, just curious. Because love isn't just a feeling, Emma. It's a choice. It's showing even when it's inconvenient. It's caring about someone's pain even when it doesn't fit aesthetic. I started crying right there in the cereal aisle. "I know I messed. I know I hurt. But I want to make it right." Jake sighed. "The thing is, Sarah spent months making excuses for. Telling herself we're just busy, just happy, just going through a phase. She defended to everyone, including me. She did. Even when it was obvious we're pulling away. Even when other people started commenting on it. She kept saying to come around, that we're still the same person she'd always known." My chest felt tight. What changed? That night when she called, her mom hadn't just tried to herself. she'd specifically asked for Sarah, told her she didn't want to be a burden anymore, that everyone would be better off without her problems. Oh God. Oh no. So when Sarah called, her best friend, the person who was supposed to love her unconditionally, and essentially said the same thing, that her problems were an inconvenience, Jake shook his head. I broke something in her. I couldn't breathe. I didn't mean it like that. But that's how it sounded, and after months of treating her like a burden, it confirmed what she was starting to believe about herself. We stood there in silence while other shoppers moved around us, going about their normal lives while mine crumbled in a grocery store. The worst part, Jake continued, is that she still loves. She's angry but she still loves, and that's why this is so devastating for her. She's not just losing her best friend, she's questioning 12 years of memories. I wiped my eyes with my sleeve. What can I do? Jake looked at me for a long moment. Honestly, I don't think there's anything can do. Some betrayals are too fundamental, showed her who really are when it mattered most. He started to walk away then turned back. Want to know the really sad part? Sarah never expected to fix her problems, she just wanted to care that she had them. After he left I stood there until a store employee asked if I needed help finding something. Yeah, I wanted to say. I need help finding the person I used to be, the person Sarah believed in for 12 years, the person I'd apparently never actually been at all. It's been 6 months since that phone call, and I'm writing this from a studio apartment across town. Not because I wanted to move, but because I could afford my dream apartment anymore after losing 3 major clients at work. Turns out, when the kind of person who abandons friends during crisis word gets around, especially in a city where everyone knows everyone. It started small. A client who happened to be friends with Amy mentioned they were looking for someone more reliable for their campaign. Another client, who'd seen me at industry events with Sarah over the years, asked point blank where my lovely friend was and why she never came around anymore. I tried to give vague answers. We're both just really busy. No, but people aren't. When someone disappears from completely, especially someone who is clearly important to people notice. The final straw came when I ran into Sarah's sister at a networking event. I'd known Lisa for years, had been to her wedding, had held her baby at the hospital when he was born. She looked right through me, like I was a stranger. Lisa. I called out, practically chasing her across the room. Lisa, wait, she turned around with the kind of polite smile give to acquaintances. Oh, Emma, hi, how's little Max? How's I couldn't say Sarah's name. We're all doing well, thank ba. Her voice was ice cold. Excuse me, I need to catch someone before they leave. But she didn't move toward anyone else. She just stood there making it clear our conversation was over. Lisa, please. I know Sarah and I had a falling out but. A falling out. She laughed but it wasn't amused. Is that what call it? People were starting to look. Lisa noticed and lowered her voice. My sister called me sobbing that night. Do you know what she said? She said she'd finally understood what it felt like to be completely alone. Her mom was in the psychiatric ward, her best friend had basically hung on her, and she was sitting in a hospital waiting room realizing that the person she trusted most in the world saw her as an inconvenience. My stomach twisted. She blamed herself, Emma. She actually apologized to me for being dramatic. She said maybe she'd been too needy, maybe she'd been asking too much of people. My strong, incredible sister who's never asked for anything from anyone was apologizing for having problems. Lisa stepped closer, and I could see tears in her eyes. Do you know what I had to tell her? I had to remind my own sister that she deserved love even when her wasn't perfect. I had to convince her that her pain mattered, that she wasn't a burden, that she was worthy of friendship even during the hardest time of her. I was crying now, right there in front of everyone. I know I messed, I know I hurt. I've been trying to figure out how to apologize. Can't. Lisa's voice was final. Can't apologize for showing someone true character. Can't take back revealing that friendship was conditional. I wasn't conditional. I love Sarah. No. Loved the version of Sarah that made feel good about. Loved her when she was cheerleader, emotional support, plus, one to make look good. But the moment she needed to be those things for her, were nowhere to be found. Lisa looked around the room, then back at me. Want to know the worst part? Sarah still defends sometimes. Even now, even after everything. She'll say things like Emma's not a bad person, she was just going through something. She can't stop making excuses for even when stopped deserving them. She turned to leave, then paused. My sister is doing better now, by the way. She's in therapy, she's building new friendships, she's learning to trust people again. But she'll never be the same person who believed in for 12 years. Killed that version of her. After Lisa walked away, I stood there as the networking event continued around me. People laughed and made connections and built relationships while I realized I'd become a cautionary tale. The person others pointed to as an example of how not to treat friends. Marcus and I broke 3 weeks later. Not because of or anything dramatic. He just looked at me one day and said, I keep wondering when I'll decide I'm too much trouble too. I tried to convince him it was different, that romantic love was different from friendship. But how could I prove that? How could I promise to show for him when I'd failed so spectacularly at showing for someone I'd loved for over a decade? The thing is, he said as he packed his stuff, I met during good times, I fell in love with successful, happy Emma. But what happens when I lose my job? What happens when my parents get sick? What happens when I'm the one who needs support instead of providing it? I couldn't answer because we both knew the truth. I'd already shown him exactly who I was when people I claimed to love became inconvenient. Work got worse. My reputation for being unreliable spread through professional networks. I wasn't getting callbacks for jobs, wasn't being included in projects. The industry I'd worked so hard to break into was quietly freezing me out. I tried to reinvent, to start over somewhere else. But references are everything in marketing, and mine all led back to a professional community that had watched me abandon my best friend during her darkest hour. The loneliness is the worst part. I wake every morning and instinctively reach for my phone to text Sarah something funny. I see movies I know she'd love and start to call her before remembering. I have good news and bad news and random thoughts, and there's no one to share them with. I made new acquaintances, try to build new friendships. But I'm different now. Paranoid. I analyze every interaction, wondering if I'm being too, if I'm asking too much, if I'm giving too little. I second guess every emotion, every need for support. And the people I meet can sense it. They can sense that I'm someone who burned down her most important relationship through selfishness. They're polite but distant, like they instinctively know I'm not safe to get close to. Last month I saw Sarah at a coffee shop across town. She was with someone I didn't recognize, laughing at something on her phone. She looked lighter, happier, like she'd shed some invisible weight she'd been carrying. She didn't see me, and I didn't approach her. The point. To apologize again. To beg for forgiveness I don't deserve. To tell her I finally understand what I lost. I sat in my car afterward and realized this was mine now, watching from a distance as the person I'd claimed to love most in the world thrived without me. Seeing her be the vibrant, funny, caring person she'd always been, except now that light wasn't being dimmed by my conditional love. She was better off without me. That's the truth I couldn't face before, but it's undeniable now. I spent 12 years taking credit for being a good friend while Sarah did all the actual work of maintaining our relationship. I showed for the celebrations and expected her to handle the hard parts alone. I loved her when it was easy and abandoned her when it wasn't, and now I know what it feels like to be truly alone. Not temporarily single or between friend groups, but fundamentally isolated because people can sense that are the kind of person who disappears when things get difficult. I've tried therapy, tried self-help books, tried volunteering to prove to her I can care about others. But can't undo character, can't take back the moment when someone needed most and chose instead. The worst part isn't even the loneliness or the professional consequences or the broken relationship with Marcus. The worst part is knowing that somewhere out there, the most loyal person I've ever known questions 12 years of memories because of me. The worst part is knowing that I turned someone who believed in unconditional love into someone who has to learn to trust again. The worst part is realizing in all my efforts to build a perfect, I became the villain in someone else's story. I used to think friendship was about being there for the good times and tolerating the bad ones. I thought love was a feeling had, not a choice made every single day. I was wrong about everything that mattered. And now I'm the person that good friends warn each other about. The one who disappears when need them most. The one who makes promises they don't keep. The one who loves only when it's convenient. I'm the person I would have judged harshly 12 years ago. The person Sarah never thought I could become. The person she was right to stop making excuses for. Some mistakes don't get fixed. Some betrayals don't get forgiven. Some people don't deserve second chances. Some friendships once destroyed by selfishness, leave exactly where it chose to be, completely alone with the person really are.